Sometimes I have been to the United States of America. I went to Germany. I was in Europe. I visited Poland, and I was observing. When you visit these great countries, what you do, you observe. Are these people the most happiest people in the world? They have good roads, they have good houses. It seems that the system is working, there is order. But why people are not happy? They are not having happy faces. They don't greet each other. They move around with guns. So going to our main agenda of today, our main topic of today, and to assess the entire situation in African continent, why our bright young men and women who are well trained, and even those who are not well trained, they want to leave Africa. They are running away from Africa to other parts of the world. Why like that? Why people are willing to die in the Sahara desert as they are seeking to cross to enter Europe illegally? And some, they even get drowned in Mediterranean Sea each year because they want to enter Europe. Why? There is this force that is, compelling our young men and women, our African, to move away from this continent. There are many reasons, but among of the biggest reasons is also because our friends from other civilizations are very wise. The way they brand their nations through the power of technology and international media, and how they show their countries like heaven. You see in movies, in Hollywood, which is the propaganda machine, and a young person from Africa watching things on TV and on screen, on the internet. You see this Europe is glittering like gold. You see this America is shining. You see these Scandinavian countries are shining, and you say, and everything, they think everything which shine is gold. So they want to go there and live the dream. They go there to experience that kind of life which has been advertised. So it is psychological. So in order to counteract the effect, we also need to change the narrative. Some of our big medias in Africa, and even big medias in other countries, when they show news in Africa, what do they show? They show wars and poverty and culture of conflict. They show diseases, one people fighting another people. So a person living in Africa and seeing the international media framing Africa as a hell, this kind of narration, this kind of stories make these young people believe perhaps they may think they are living in hell and somewhere is heaven. So automatically in their DNA, in their mind, in their spirit, they will want to go there. So this is one among of the factors. And to change the situation, let us control the media. What we show in music, in movies, what we show, we announce on the news. We have to tell the good stories in Africa, like what Chimamanda Ngozi in his book about the single story. When you are telling the single story, it makes other people believe that it's the only story. We need to tell our own story. It's not about Africa, it's not about diseases and culture of conflict and poverty, like how international media put it. But also our diasporas. They have to be honest to our brothers and sisters in Africa. I understand some of our diasporas have succeeded living outside the continent of Africa. But how many of them? Can we have the statistics? How many of them have become millionaires in Europe, millionaires in USA? And how many of our African brothers and sisters in these countries, European countries or American countries, are living just ordinary life? Maybe they have something to eat on the table, to send their kids to school, but they don't own businesses. They don't own houses. They don't have piece of land. And they have been there for 30 years and 20 years. And they are finding it very difficult to come back to Africa. We see them driving, but really, beyond their family, they have nothing really to show that they have contributed big to these countries. Our engineers, they are working with Google, they are working with these big platforms. But when you tell them to show their contribution in bigger scales, sometimes they can't even show. If a Mercedes-Benz, you may find someone is working in the company of Mercedes-Benz, maybe in the Department of Research and Development. But when a car is already manufactured, a Mercedes-Benz, and you ask your African brother, what is your contribution in this Mercedes-Benz? It's very difficult for them to show. The reason why there is identity crisis in these big international countries outside Africa, you may find young people, they have nothing to do because almost everything has already been built. Good roads, good infrastructure, things are already in place. But when you are in Africa, it is very easy to show your contribution. So this is the high time for our young people to realize, if you are going to other countries outside Africa, go there to get exposure, go there to learn and observe, see what is happening there, and see if people are happy. Try to observe beyond the normal environment. Sometimes I have been to the United States of America. I went to Germany. I was in Europe. I visited Poland, and I was observing. When you visit these great countries, what you do, you observe. Are these people the most happiest people in the world? They have good roads. They have good houses. It seems that the system is working. There is order. But why people are not happy? They are not having happy faces. They don't greet each other. They move around with guns. They are killing each other. The records of people killing each other in streets like I don't want to mention. Human being killing another human being is high. People marry themselves, and it's not a guarantee that they will spend the rest of their lives together. They divorce after some times. In these big countries that we see, there is leadership crisis even in families. There is identity crisis. The redefinition of terms. They are defining what marriage is. They are defining who is a woman. They are defining who is a man. We are in the state of confusion. They are more developed, but they are going back to the primitive days. In this time, there is a lot of confusion going on. So when you are talking about development, you have to consider this. It is very difficult to raise your child in this part of the world. When we are talking about development, we have to consider all these factors: the social factors, the family factors, the freedom of an individual. If you are living in a country and you are fearing policemen, I don't want to mention a country, but I can tell you there is a developed country that the number of prisoners, the black prisoners in that country, the numbers of people who have been in prison are many than the entire population of Djibouti. They have been in jail. You go to these countries and you end up being in jail. You marry from these countries And after some times, you find someone is filing a case of divorce. Then your properties are taken, your children are taken, then you are remaining with nothing. We have seen our footballers from Africa. They go there, they play very well, they marry, and after some times they are taken to court. Everything of theirs is taken. So when we are talking about development, we need to assess this. And when you become old, my brother and sisters, when you become old, you are of no use. You are going to be taken to retention houses. No one is going to take care of you. Your children will be busy looking for a bread, because if you can't work, you cannot live. And if you get sick in these countries, my friend, you're going to use every single penny you have collected in your life. The health systems, they take money from you, the taxes, you know. So we need to look in 360 degrees when we call development. What development means by considering all these factors. So we need to tell ourselves and our young people, are we going to take our countries to this direction? Or we need to look within and come up with the leadership system and the governance system that create a better living condition than what we see in these countries that we are dying to go. It has to be some sort of analysis. Our smart men and women from Africa, they must take time to share with us what they are going through in these countries. And I have been there. I have met my brothers and sisters there. And some of them, they are very honest to tell you, I have been here for 20 years or 10 years, but I can tell you, there are moments when these people, they make you feel you are with them, but you do not belong to them. You are living there, but you don't belong there. They will make you feel that you don't belong there. You may speak very fine English, you may copy their accent, you may copy their culture, but there are moments they will make you feel you don't belong there, and that hurts. You are an intellectual, you are a professor, you are contributing to their economy, but they will still make you feel you don't belong there. So however much you will try to hide your identity, they will remind you that you don't belong there. The situation will remind you. So if that is the situation, what can we do now? We have this beautiful continent. I don't say people should only stay in Africa and don't move out of Africa. No, I'm not trying to say that. Because the world is like a little village. My advice, if you go to America, go there. If you go to London, go there. Go there to learn. Follow the advice of Ngugi wa Thiong'o in his book, The River Between. The advice that Chege is giving to his son, Wayaki. He's telling Wayaki, go there and learn the ways of a white man. Go there and learn the magic of a white man. But don't become like a white man. Go there to the Arabs. Learn how they do things and how they conduct themselves. But don't become the Arab man. Go to India. Observe how they do business and how they conduct themselves. What has happened to the Indians? They have become managers of the greatest companies in the world like Google. They are leading these countries. They are taking charge in Silicon Valley in the United States of America. They are leading right now in IT. What has made them special? Go and observe the China man. Their hand is superior now. They are producing things. You go there, you learn, you observe. If you can take technology by force, bring that technology back home. Let the truth be told. No one is willing to give Africa technology. No one is going to give us technology for free. True education is hidden. There is something they call patent right and copyright. Through education, you cannot be given scholarship to have it. There is three kinds of education. They call education know what, education know why, and education know how. What they will give you is the education know what. You will know how to describe things. What is chemistry? What is biology? They will give you scholarship to go and study marketing and governance and international laws. But the true education, they will not give you scholarship. They will not teach you how to do reverse engineering to make engines. Those kind of education are hidden with patent right and copyright. So the African people, if they think that somehow our friends from other civilization, they will bring that kind of technology to us, we will wait until the second coming of Jesus, and nothing is going to happen here in this mother continent. We must take technology by force. The Japanese did it. Their young men and women realized that it was a high time for them to go to the Western countries and take technology by force after the 1945, after the Nagasaki and Hiroshima. They realized they needed technology. So it was a national strategy to send their best men and women, not to work there and marry there and stay there forever, but to go there and take technology by force. If it happens, an African child is going to these different countries, let him go there to steal technology. They must go there to steal things with their eyes, with their spirit, and bring that innovation back home. We need Silicon Valley in Africa. We need the Silicon World in Africa. We need engineers in Africa to create our own mobile phone, to build our own electric cars. We like driving cars, and we like watches. When we like these inventions, can we create them for ourselves? Yes, we can, if we put the right kind of mindset. So if you go there with the mind of taking it by force, technology by force. The Chinese, they also steal technology by force. The Japanese, they did it. The Arab, they are doing it till today. The Singaporean, they are doing it till today. So we cannot continue to lament about colonialism, to lament about what our friends have done to us. Yes, they did something horrible and terrible, and we should remind ourselves about that. But lamenting will not get us to the promised land. We are not the only race which has been oppressed. The Cambodians, they were also bombed. The Vietnamese, they were bombed. They were also poor like us. But when they decided to put their hands together and to respect themselves, and through the right kind of leadership, a country like Singapore, through the leadership of Lee Kuan Yew, within 20 years, they catapulted themselves from being the third world to the first world. It is possible. The story of Dubai, from nothing into something, it is possible. We can also take ourselves to the promised land, to where we want, but with the right kind of leadership. We cannot build our continent if our young and the best mind, they are running away from their continent. And when they reach there, they become Europeans. When they reach there, they become Americans. They even change accent. They don't want to be recognized that they come from Africa. And that is the beginning of pain. When you are hiding from your identity, that is the beginning of pain, because you are not going to become them. And they will remind you that you're not them, and that it pains even more. And when you become old, you realize you have wasted so much time struggling to become a European and struggling to become an American. And then at the end of the day, you realize, kumbe, that was something which was not possible. But the time is now. Put your acts together. See if you can do something in Africa. I was sharing with my friend Osman Turi from Gambia. They have created an organization in Gambia that have started to mobilize the diaspora to go back to Africa, to come back to Africa. And we have our young brothers, and sisters, and even our fellow Africans in these countries. Some of them, they want to come back home, but they don't know where to begin. And if they come, what are they going to do? Some of them, they have never set foot in Africa. They were born there and they are wandering. So they have started that organization to tell, and they even give them loans to start business in Africa. Not all the diaspora, they have money. Some of them, they are stuck. It is very painful. They are stuck. They are homeless. They have been there for 30 years and nothing they have done. So they are scared to come back home. After 30 years, you only have 2 children. You don't have an apartment. You don't have a piece of land. You only have a car, which is also old. They are very, they are living in sadness. So we also need to feel sorry for them and help them come back home. Not in a way of despising them, no, but in a way of saying, our fellow brothers and sisters, it's time now to come back home. And also to our brothers and sisters in these big countries who have made it in life. We have very successful entrepreneurs from the African descent. These also can help us to support their fellow Africans to come back home, to start business, like what Econ and other Africans are trying to do. They are conscientizing our fellow Africans. Let's go back home. Let's do something good in Africa. So by combining all these factors, perhaps the spirit of our young men and women wanting to move out of Africa, that spirit, that bad spirit will be exorcised by telling the truth and showing our young people how to do it. It will help to exorcise this bad spirit. And of course, we need to give them skills. You may find nowadays people go to university, you stay in the university for 4 years, 5 years, and then you graduate with a degree of procurement, and then you're going back to the village. What are you going to procure in your village? And you have started procurement at the university, and marketing and sales. You are a marketing and sales manager. What are you going to sell in your village? You don't know even how to do agriculture. So you have been miseducated. So it's a time not to complain, but it's a high time to realize that I have been miseducated. I've studied the wrong course at the university. And you take a very proactive approach. Wamba, I have spent my 4 years and they have trained me into something that I was not supposed to be trained. And then you say, okay, now what can I do? If you can join the Mamamboga in the market, join the Mamamboga and see how they do business. It's not too late. See where they get their goods and how they sell. See how you can start keeping animals in your little village. Be relevant. So slowly by slowly, you will find something to do instead of just wanting to run away from Africa. And even to our educated Africans, if you are a PhD holder right now and you say, I'm going to German, if you go to German right now and you are a PhD holder, they don't recognize you, whether you have gone to school. So you're going to start from fresh. And then you're going to start from fresh. They don't understand your education. So it's very painful, So what is that? So the colonialism is still there. So they will say, okay, put your PhD certificates. Now you are going to start from fresh. You are a teacher, you are a lecturer. Who are you going to lecture? You are going to lecture the European kids. then you have a PhD from Africa. You are not educated. You have been miseducated. They have that kind of mindset. So it's tough. If you are running away from Africa and you are an educated person, you have a PhD, the first job you are going to do if you get there, you will start by cleaning these old houses. And then you will become a driver after some times. And then you will do this supermarket kind of job. Then, these little jobs. And after some times, you will start to re-educate yourself into the system. And you will find yourself spending another 10 years or 5 years to get into the system. So it's not easy. It's not that because you are a lecturer at a certain university in Africa and all of a sudden you become a lecturer in some of the universities in these big countries. No, it's a big no. So understand these dynamics, and take time to study, and also our fellow Africans can help us to, understand the situation in these big countries. So having said that, I would love to stop here and listen from other people and my fellow colleagues what they have to say. Thank you very much.
Hi. Whew.